Well, hello everybody. Leo here. How y'all doing today? Hope you're having a pretty good day, and all that good stuff. Hope you're having fun or something. Anyway, I am out in Crumb, West Virginia today, and just finished doing a story about a couple people here. And I figured, since I was already here at this old graveyard here in Crumb, West Virginia, that I would go ahead and document the graves that are here, and we'll update on Find a Grave and have Heather do her magic in editing and look up some of the histories of some of these people, some of the amazing stories that some of these people have to tell. Just like you, I'm sure that if I sat down and talked to you, you would have some amazing stories to tell me, wouldn't you? If you wanted to. These guys could do the same thing. You just have to, they can't tell you their story. You just have to go open the book and read it for yourself. But it is out there if you go looking. So we thought that since I was down here, like I said already, I would go ahead and document the rest of this graveyard and get everything updated. Like I said, the school right there, the Crumb grade school, I think, right there. But this right here is Fluty's. This is Jesse Fluty, 1897 to 1972, and Verdi Fluty, 1898 to 1976. Leland Fluty, 1930 to 1976. December 25th and August 19th. Interesting dates. Every now and then something like that will catch your eye. Okay, these are Copleys. Pim Copley, born in 1920 and passed away in 2005. And Dolly Mae Bowen Copley, 1932 to 2006. This is Thomas and Jeannie Copley. Thomas was born in 1877 and passed away in 1964. And Jeannie was born in 1881 and passed away in 1959. And like I said, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that there will be all kinds of really interesting stories here. Markham, Pearlie Markham, 1897 to 1976, and Daisy Markham, 1906 to 1986. Eric Markham, 1953 to 1999, and Carl E. Markham, 1923 to 1975. This one I'm going to assume is a baby because of the lamb. Yeah. Brian Allen Smith, 1959 to 1961. Little lambs give it away. This one I'm unsure about. I'm going to see if there's anything on here. Yeah, there is. I thought it might have been that, but it's not. This is J.M. Blevins, 1927 to 1949. Gone but not forgotten. Carl Edward Markham, PFC, U.S. Army, 1923 to 1975. World War II husband. Okay, that's all those in here. Careful, go over. Try to step over or around. It seems rude walking on somebody's grave. This is Otis Markham. 1886 to 1958. Look how those 8s are made. Little hourglasses. Otis Markham, 1886 to 1958, and Hattie Markham, 1891 to 1970. Ermel Markham, 1924 to 1964. Thelma Markham, 1930 to 2009, and Walter Markham, 1922 to 1973. Some of these down here look like they could be much older. We'll see. Chris Copley, 1878 to 1954, and Florence Copley, 1875 to 19. The last 2 digits weren't put in. Gamma. Never heard that name before. Gamma. Gamma Brewer, 1911 to 1948. George Brown, 1890 to 1968, and Inez Brown, 1895 to 1977. Okay, here we have Josephine Queen, 1892 to 1958. George Brown, West Virginia Corporal, U.S. Army, World War I, March 14th, 1890 to March 12th, 1968. See if we can read this one or not. Brown, Irvin, I-R-V-I-N, Brown, 1818, no, October 18th, 1890 something, to June 29th, 1929. I had a feeling some of these were older ones. Look here. Edward Markham, 1854 to 1944, and Martha McGuire, 1856 to 1943. Ethel Brown, 1921 to 1926, the child. That one's just a stone. W.M. Mac O'Neill, 1860 to 1940, and Mary Ellen O'Neill, 1878 to 1950. This is Irene May O'Neill, 1919 to 1920, and Iris Merle, 1921 to 1922. 2 children, 2 little girls. Almost stepped on that one, didn't see it. Sarah Bowen Brown, 1870 to 1915. Joshua Brown, 1853 to 1911. That one doesn't have a name. R.O.W. Brown, 1839. Can't make out a first name. I can just see the C. Brown, 1839 to 1914. Okay. Any more on there? Sometimes they'll put, you know, a family plot and have one this way, one that way, one that way, and one this way, and then use all four sides of that. Now, these are some old ones here. You can tell by looking at them. These are some old ones. I'll just use this big one as my marker. Richard F. Fain, 1873 to 1948. I'll pick out a unique one and kind of use it as a marker sometimes. Martha Fain, born 1848 and passed away in looks like 30. Looks like 38 or 30. I'm not really sure. Okay, that goes on here. It's a Markham. I can't make out a first name. All I can see is an N and an E. Let me see, 1927. You'd be surprised you'd be surprised. I've seen Heather come up with a name and dates and information on less than that. Markham, B-E-F-T-H-A, Markham, 1894 to 1926. Not really sure. Could be, no? It's H-A-T-H-A. Kelly Markham. Look here. It's a Confederate grave. Kelly Markham, Company K, 16th Virginia Cavalry, Confederate States of America, 1846 to 1922. I knew there would be some interesting old graves in here. There's a Confederate grave right there. Tivis Crumb, 1898 to 1927, and Rosa Crumb, 1900 to 1942. Until the river got up here too. This has been flooded just recently. This is A-L-S-I-E Fields. The S's are backwards. Born 1900 and passed away in 1936. Wife of. Kind of looks like wife of, but I don't think it is. Now this is a crumb right here. Huh. A-L-V-A-J-I Alvagine? Crumb, 1913 to 1931. I have no doubt some of these are going to be very interesting graves. Very interesting stories to them too. This looks like a military, but I can't tell yet. Mont Hackney. Private, no, you know, private, 6th Company something. Huh. Mont Hackney. V Huh. And there's an old military. Somebody's put a flag on that one. Just a stone, but somebody knows who it is. And you can see where the river got up here too. This is Charles Raymond Markham. There's several names. There's 3 names on that side and 3 on that side. It says Charles Raymond, 1921. Virgil Verdon, 1926 to 32, and Harold Willard, 1935. That says Robert Lee, 1937, Bernard, 1941, and Vernon, 1941. Be interesting to see what those names are. Okay, there's the big one that I was using as my marker. McGlone, R.H. McGlone, 1853 to 1920, and Julia McGlone, 1855 to 1930. And I got 2 here, and then this section. Ida Mae Booth, 1912 to 1947. Okay, I'm guessing that's Ida's foot marker. Okay, this is William Markham, 1857 to 1936, and Rachel S. Markham, 1870 to 1935. Look at those. You can tell those are really old. See, there's the big one I was using as my marker a second ago. M.D. Dameron, 1866 to 1951. Effie Poole Pinson, 1887 to 1950. Well, that one's got X's. Oh, it's a G, isn't it? It's Mason. K.J. Pinson, 1869 to 1942. Bowen. A. Bowen. G.W. Bowen, 1932. 1865 to 1932. G.M. Bowen. B.B. 1846 to 1931. J.R.B. Virgil Harris, 1919 to 1928. Kid. It says son, VH down there. M.A. Mary, 1891 to 1922. Asleep in Jesus. Margaret Music. Lowell Prentice Varney, 1936 to 2007. Alvis G. Varney, 1901 to 1980. Pearl M. Varney, 1910 to 1949. Auxier, A-U-X-I-E-R. Auxier B. Markham, 1904 to 1934. 30 years old. Young man. Markham, Verona J. Markham, 1878 to 1944, and General H. Markham, 1872 to 1930. This one says baby on the back of it. Geraldine Stepp, November 16th, 1936 to November 27th, 1936. Okay, that's the queens we just did the story on. Ethel Marie Zanders, 1923 to 1961. Look at that picture. Ernest E. Queen, 1905 to 1959, and Ruth C. Queen. Hello, that's a familiar name from our story. 1908 to 1965. And this is one of the queens that was missing. This is Llewellyn Queen Preston, 1908 to 1954. Her grave was missing. Until today, anyway, it was. Judes, Judes. John, 1883 to 19 something. I can't really make it out. Jesse Pruitt, 1885 to 1968, and G.C. Pruitt, 1886 to 1957. I noticed that one when I first got here. James F. Dillon, 1894 to 1971, and Elizabeth F. Dillon, 1896 to 1975. Okay. Bobby M. Markham. Yeah, I thought it was a baby. It's awful short. 1950 to 51. Gone so soon. Lee Markham, 1911 to 1977. And Ola Mae Markham, 1915 to 2005. Billy Lee Markham, 1936 to 2007. We're getting there, guys. Emma B. Harris, 1891 to 1972. Charles Conley, PFC, U.S. Army, World War II, 1922 to 1983. And this one says wife here, but it says Romaine C. Conley, 1927 to 2010. Romaine. Okay, that one, it used to have something on it. James Wesley Harris. Can't make out dates. Marilyn Lily Harris, born in 67. Can't make out a death date though. Gladys Eileen Dalton Copley, Daughton, 1928 to 1968. Edwin Howard Copley, 1937 to 1983, and Eula Faye Copley, 1939 to 2013. Mark Anthony Conn, stillborn, 1975. Says baby right here. Okay, we'll get those in a second. That's a pretty one, isn't it? Copley's. Teresa B. Copley, 1959 to 1999, and Howard Copley, 1958 to 2016. That's a pretty one, isn't it? Pine trees, a little farm, mountains. Very pretty. Okay, we've got, let's see. Troy Copley, 1914 to 1967, and Lassie Copley, 1916 to 1999. And Harris. Okay, here's the plates. Here's the names down here. James F. Harris, West Virginia, AMM1, USNR. World War II, 1911 to 1957. And Estelle C. Harris, 1916 to 1991. Two left? Or do I? Trying to think if yeah, I got those, didn't I? Okay. Just says Harris on both sides. Bascom Copley, 1894 to 1973, and Veda C. Copley, 1896 to 1968. Okay, that just leaves a few. This leaves the queens. These are the ones that brought me here today. Right here. Those two in particular. This is Thelma Jacqueline Queen, 1922 to 1988. Johnson M. Queen is a Mason symbol on his, 1887 to 1949, and Pearl E. Queen, 1896 to 1968. Now this is William and Mary Queen. That's the ones we did the story about today. Owned a little business right here in Crumb, West Virginia. But it's William M. Queen, 1880 to 1953, and Mary C. Queen, 1883 to 1953. Hi. Hello, little one. And of course, this one, saved him for last. This was Billy. This is the one that I told you about in the story. Billy Scott Queen, 1920 to 1944. He was killed in the Battle of the Bulge in Germany and laid in a trench under snow, frozen until 1945, when Allies retook the area and found the bodies. That's what happened to Billy. That's what this family right here is what brought me to this graveyard today. But anyway, guys, I guess that covers everybody here. And like y'all seen before, we'll make sure that everyone is documented and all the little paper trails updated, so if descendants come looking for these people, they won't have so much trouble finding them. I don't remember this one. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm not sure if I did this one or not. This is Fonnie Crum Mead. It says 1907. John B. Crum Jr., 1884 to 1956. Emery Mead, 1901 to 1959. Wasn't sure if I got those two. Okay, I remember the Spalding. Yeah, Wayne and Nellie. 1906, 1967, and 1905 to 1982 for Nellie. And that covers this whole graveyard officially, which it wasn't that big, but it still took about a half an hour at least. But we've got everything updated now, and everything is taken care of. It will be fixed. We'll have everybody listed, and like I've said before, I've mentioned it, you know, in other videos. You know, your life is like a story. It's like a book, but yours isn't finished yet because you're not dead yet. Your story's still being written. These people, all of their stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Their stories have been completed. See the difference? You can read these books. All you have to do is open them up. Yours and mine isn't finished yet, so they can't be read yet. Make sense? So when Heather goes looking through all of these old documents and all of these records and updating things, I'm sure there'll be war heroes and good guys and bad guys and everything in between right here in this little bitty graveyard. It'll be very interesting to hear some of the tales, you know, some of the exploits that these folks went on. Be interesting to hear. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here from Crumb, West Virginia, in the heart of hillbilly country. This is Leo with the Hillbilly Files, and we will see you guys next time. Leo out.